My question is for the Minister of Community Safety and Correctional Services. Minister, many of my community members in Sudbury and across our province are troubled by reports of human trafficking taking place in our neighbourhoods. This is a practice that overwhelmingly targets women and girls and preys upon some of our most vulnerable members of our society. Last week, Ontario held its first summit on sexual violence and harassment, where presenters spoke about ending sexual violence and harassment and supporting survivors in the best and most appropriate ways possible. So it is important that Ontarians know how serious we are fighting all types of sexual violence and harassment in our province. And it is also important that Ontarians see the strong actions that are being taken to fight human trafficking in our province.
Question.
So, Mr. Speaker, through you, can the Minister please explain what steps we are taking to stop this deplorable practice in our province?
Thank you. Minister of Community Safety and Correctional Services.
Thank you very much, Speaker. I want to thank the member for asking a very important question. The member from Sudbury, Speaker, is absolutely right. The human trafficking is a disgraceful practice, and there's no room for it anywhere in our communities. Speaker, it is essential that we collaborate between all levels of government, municipalities and police services to eliminate this practice, and this collaboration is already taking place. In October, Speaker, a major investigation led by the OPP was responsible for rescuing 20 people, some as young as 14, who were thought to have been forced into the sex trade. This operation, known as Operation Northern Spotlight, brought together 350 officers and support staff from 40 police services, including the RCMP and the FBI. Our government, Speaker, has also funded 11 projects totaling $1.4 million through the Proceeds of Crime grant, alongside an additional $200,000 of funding for police services from the Ministry to fight human trafficking in Ontario.
Supplementary.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I'd like to thank the Minister for his answer. It is certainly encouraging that the OPP led such an expansive and successful operation, and I'm glad to hear that the Ministry of Community Safety and Correctional Services is taking the issue so seriously, Mr. Speaker. But, Mr. Speaker, we also know that to tackle human trafficking, we need to see cooperation across ministries. Policing is an important element of our response to human trafficking, but we also need to see supports in social services and legal sectors as well. So, Mr. Speaker, can the Minister please inform the House of the work going on across government to address human trafficking?
Thank you. Minister.
Speaker, Minister responsible for women's issues.
Minister responsible for women's issues.
Thank you, Speaker. And the Minister of Community Safety and Correctional Services is absolutely right. Human trafficking is a heinous crime. It's an issue I take very seriously as the Ontario Minister responsible for women's issues. And there are a number of ministries working together collaboratively to combat human trafficking. So in addition to the police measures that the Minister mentioned, the Ontario Women's Directorate provides $225,000 in funding to the White Ribbon Campaign to develop resources for young men in ending human trafficking and sexual violence. We're also providing over $9 million to help victims of sexual violence across healthcare, legal and social services in more than 70 languages, Speaker. And last year, wearing my other hat as the Minister of Children and Youth Services, we funded a pilot project in York Region to support youth involved in trafficking. And our Attorney General's Ministry has Crown attorneys with knowledge in human trafficking to advise on trafficking, prosecutions and policies. We take this kind of crime very seriously as a government, Speaker, and I'm looking forward to continuing this important work with all members of the legislature.
Thank you. New question.